In a world of shiny helmets, spandex jumpsuits, and strange monsters, these heroes force feed you a bowl of awesome that is the Tokudon Podcast. Join Carl and Rob as they haphazardly welcome you to the exciting genre of Tokusatsu. Now, open wide.
Why, hello, friends.
Hi. Hey, guys. How's it going?
What's going on? How are you this fine Sunday?
Fine and dandy. Welcome to Tokudon, guys. Good to see you.
I love it. Candid. Candid as hell.
Sorry, dude.
It's fine.
It's the kind of nonsense that plays in my head constantly.
And that one song you have been obsessed with since I've known you. The yeah, that one.
Oh my god, that Dollar Mindy.
Yeah.
That was like that's like the theme song of an era of our college. Like the last month or two, that was just like playing constantly.
Yeah, it was awful. Welcome to another episode of Tokudon, my friends. We are here to talk more Toku things about exploding spandex, monsters.
You know,
doing things.
It's like a thing.
Yeah,
it's like a thing for us.
Like a thing. We do that every once in a while. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about high-speed para-hero Gandine. This is a 3-episode OVA that stars the one and only Zio himself.
Okuno.
Yeah.
I didn't mind his acting in this one because Zio was a thing, and we have our opinions of Gio. But
his acting, to be fair, in Zio was never the problem. To be fair,
couldn't hurt to do this. There,
it couldn't hurt, but it wasn't. It was never the issue I had with that show. But before we get into that, what have you been up to? You started a tarnished adventure.
Yes, I have been continuing the life of being brutalized in every new section. Mm-hmm. I think I'm still the samurai build, but I've been really focusing on the trying to figure out like the mechanics and like what works best. Like I was trying this quick step with the I made a mistake by undoing the unsheath technique, which I forgot was like completely broken. Yeah. But yeah, me trying to just master Ashes of War, I was just like trying all this stuff, and I'm like, no, none of this works for me. Yeah. So I figure like my style should be for now until I get, I guess, up there with you guys. Just focus on booping everything.
Yep.
So I have my Uchigata is like fucking 7 now. I'm just like, yeah, sure, just throw it all on that.
It goes all the way up to 25, just so you know.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, it goes up to plus 25. So the idea is because you can switch those Ashes of War, you can take like the base weapons of each class and everything and take them all the way through to the end of the game. And that includes, there's even some unique ones that you can swap out the Ash of War.
There's like a dragon katana or something like that.
Yes,
right?
That one you can't switch. There's a couple dragon ones. The one you're probably thinking of is the lightning bolt one.
Maybe. I've seen like some playthroughs and I'm like, I want that. Whatever that's doing,
so
I want to do that
there's
too.
2 really popular katanas in that. There's the Moon Veil, which is an int-based katana. It's essentially your frayed blade from Dark Souls 3. That's the one I used to use that did the Virgil cuts. So you either get a wave or you get a horizontal wave that goes like 20 feet. It's ridiculous. Or you get a vertical wave that goes even farther. So
yes. Okay. Well, I definitely am I'm still playing around with it. I'm beating like these random ones. Like I'm definitely not beating any of the high caliber enemies yet. So I'm like these moments of glory are definitely misplaced, but let me build my confidence.
Yeah. It takes time to become the Lord of the Land, the Elden Lord.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't mind taking my time because this is going to take me a while, and I'm okay with it.
Oh, and then the other one is I completely blanked on what I was saying. The other one is it does like a big chop, like a big like two-handed like Kenpachi chop, but a bolt of lightning comes down, and it's ice lightning. So it can build ice.
Lightning?
Ice lightning is the thing in this game.
Dope.
It is used by the Dragonkin soldiers You'll meet quite a few of them. They're big, they're scary, and they hurt. But you do a big, kendo slash, quing, and then like a bolt comes down, and it imbues your sword for a few seconds. A good not a few. It's a solid like 30 to 45. So that's enough to like do it, cast it, and then you keep swiping, and you're still building frost. So when frost pops, you take a chunk of health away, kind of like bleed, but they're also more vulnerable to damage and move slower while that's procced.
Got it. Yeah. So I just need oh god.
It's called the Dragon Scale Katana.
This game is so much fun.
There's so much to this game. So I found
I saw a Yuji build. Not a Yuji build, I'm sorry. Oh my god. Baki's father. Yujiro,
yeah.
Yujiro. That was close. Yujiro build where they were just using the mitts and lightning mitts. And
Yep.
I saw the video where he fought Millennia. Insane.
Yep.
Insane, these builds. Like, how do you even get to that point?
Hand builds are insane because they've always been kind of insane because they do crazy posture damage. And this game, more than the others, seems to rely heavily on the posture aspect of it. Okay. So kind of like Sekiro, it's, pretty much everything.
I was just about to say, Sekiro is like the main thing where the posture break is where you score all the most damage.
Yeah. The only thing is, we're having a traffic jam over here. In Sekiro, you could see the actual bar. I don't know how much of a Sekiro you could play, or you played.
Little bit. Yeah.
You could see the posture bar. You had your own. It's all invisible this time, so every enemy has a different posture bar. And your jump attack's going to do the most damage to it for the most part, and then things like colossal weapons, the big dumb swords, they're going to do more than like my twin blade or your katana kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing with the fists is, even in like Dark Souls 3, they were always disgusting at just tearing posture apart. You just get so many strength based shots in there so quickly that they just they crumple every time.
The stun attack is like he was doing only two. He was popping her twice. I think it was just your basic combo, but because of the lightning follow, it would stun her, and then she would be like he would be rocking her like left and right, and I'm like, I didn't know that she had two phases. Yes. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah. I have purposely avoided that fight because I am convinced, I think I said it before, that I'm convinced she could surpass Maria finally. So I have avoided everything with that fight other than the boss weapons. And I saw a JPEG of the second form.
It's nice. It looks dope.
Yeah, it looks really cool, but I don't know anything about it or what the transition is or anything like that. So I'm trying to stay in the dark with that.
Definitely murdery, but
so she is very cool. I am on my way down there now to fight her. I'll probably stream that this week, and
good luck.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. I'll get there, and then maybe we'll just do the boss fight on stream because that might take a while.
Yeah.
So my build hasn't really changed, except now I'm kind of leaning towards this primordial beast monster build.
Kind of your thing. Right.
Yeah, kind of my thing. So there's all kinds of beast incantations and things like that. I have several now. I finished off the death root. I don't know if you've found any of those yet. They're like a rare item you got to find around to do a certain quest line.
Probably not.
Pretty much every time you turn one in, you get a new like incantation or weapon or something like that. So I finished off that quest line, and so now not only can I huck rocks, I can also do, that's the beast claw. That's where you get that thing.
Okay.
Wave, the 5-shot wave. You eventually get one that's a ground pound that shoots those in every direction. And then you also get a hammer that can do that as a special ability.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm going to be able to do the ridiculous combos that I see coming at me in return, right? Like when I got invaded twice. Once by some kind of blood. Oh my god, the blood is insane in this. Like he was using the 2 daggers, and it was just like he was projectiling blood at me.
Yep.
And I'm like, how? And it infects bleed, and I'm like, fuck, like shit. I mean, it took me a couple times to beat
18% as soon as it pops.
Yeah, like it.
Yep.
I want to be able to get to that point. I just know that, in time.
Yep. So the thing with blood is it's also very, very powerful right now because they fixed the scaling on it. So not only is it getting that 18% pop every chance it gets, it's very easy to build up. You're doing, your standard hit damage is in scale with like the better weapons right now. So it's ridiculous. It is definitely what makes it easy. Like I'm still running my blood twin blade right now. some other incantations I'm running. I still have my rot breath. I'm still just, puking on everything as much as I can. Yeah. But I found a talisman that gives me a power boost for a few seconds after I infect people. So as long as there's some in the vicinity, I get a power boost, and that's pretty cool because I just puke on them and then I hit even harder for a few seconds. And if you use the mimic tier, they get the boost too because they copy you. So that's neat. And
I haven't figured out the spirit things yet, like how to use those properly.
Yeah, so you may, honestly, the wolves will carry you for quite some time. They are very good, especially when you can level them up. Even if you just kind of leave them at like +5 or something like that, they'll carry you for most of the game. You'll eventually start to get what they call legendary spirits. That's what I'm using right now. I believe her name is like Halig the Headless or something like that.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
She's a badass. She's got a big old tower spear. She's got an actual spear, and then she can throw. You get an actual war called a Spectral Lance. So she can just hurl spears. That's her Ash of War, and they're covered in lightning the whole time. It's badass.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. If you ever see anyone run around with like it almost looks like burnt wings, like on the chest piece. Yeah. They kind of like hook over like this. That's her armor set. I don't know where to get it yet, but that's her armor set, and she has this big old tower shield and spear, and it's very cool. Very, very cool. That's my girl. She carries me through pretty much every boss fight. I love it. Like I let her distract them for a second, puke on them, and then we just both go to town.
That's okay. I got so much to do.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So that's what's been consuming me.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah.
Yep. That has pretty much consumed me as well, and that's why things have been going up late. Or like right now, I don't think I put the YouTube up for last week. So we'll get there. We'll get there, guys.
We'll get there. Elden is a lifestyle. You guys know this. Everybody who's been alive the last month knows.
Yeah. It didn't help that I got the other piece to go find Millennia, and I was like, that's the mission now.
Yeah.
We are dropping everything else and going right to that. But I also found so there's like 7 endings to this. I don't know if you knew that. There's like 7 different endings.
I knew there was 6. I didn't know there was another one now.
Yeah. So there's like 6 or 7, and you get pretty much one for every major quest line in there. There's the Ronnie one, which is like, you basically get like the intelligence one, the standard one, the Holy Order one. You get one for like every major faction in the game. So I found, have you encountered the Frenzied Flame yet?
Not yet.
Or the Flames of Madness, they are also called.
Not yet.
No. They are essentially, imagine bleed, but also causing burn damage.
Oh, yeah. That sounds amazing. Can I have 2 of those?
Yeah, you can actually.
I can. Okay,
that's a whole like spell class and everything. So you have the burn dot effects of pyromancies combined with the popping abilities of blood, and you put those together and you get what they call the Frenzy Flame. And I have just found the god of the Frenzy Flame, and it has blessed me quite literally. And I now have like Sith glowing orange eyes and like brands across my chest. And apparently that locks me into that specific ending. You can cure it, but apparently that locks me into that ending specifically. That's kind of the one I wanted anyway, because that's the like Chaos Reigns Age of Fire.
That's what I mean. All right, so you're saying that it obviously depends on whatever quest you choose to complete. So you shouldn't complete every single quest line.
No, you can.
But then it would negate all of the endings into a specific one, or
no. So what happens is, other than this one that I've locked myself into, which again I can undo it if I want to. When you get to the end, you basically get to make a choice. What age you want to reign in, essentially.
Mass Effect choice,
some of them are a little Mass Effect-y, but I've only seen screenshots. I haven't watched videos of them because I don't want to spoil. As soon as I get one, I'll watch the rest of them.
The whole reason I'm playing is to beat the game.
So I know it's all going to depend on which one you choose. I don't know how different they are. I know some of them are very, very different. Like this Frenzied Flame one, I think is the most different out of all of them. I don't know what that entails, but I saw some screenshots. A couple of them were like, you on the throne that looks a little more yellow, you on the throne that looks blue.
No.
But that doesn't mean there isn't like an associated cutscene. If the
Star Child shows up, I am gonna lose it. He's just gonna show up in the middle of them.
Should I tell you now that you fight several Star Children?
Do I get to kill them?
Yes.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. As long as I treat that as some kind of proxy for Mass Effect, I'm okay.
So I don't know if you knew this. Radon, the big dude with Leonard, His whole thing is that he stopped the stars from moving. He stopped the rotation of the universe. That's how badass he is.
See, there's a lot of lore that I haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah. So you'll get to there because that's like his whole shtick when you get into Kaled and then in the Legacy Dungeon there. He's like, you know, the Star Scourge, he stopped the stars, and that's why like Renala hates him. That's why Liurnia is like, Radon sucks. He like stopped our stuff. And Ronnie is trying to restart that. And you actually do restart that after you beat Radon. You restart the spinning of the universe, and it is quite badass. That's the dude who also uses the gravity magic, by the way. That's how he did that one.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I figure he's the gravity dude because he's done the dinky, but like the lore behind it. Like, what was the purpose of him freezing that? Like, what did he gain from that? Don't tell me if you know.
I don't know.
I'll get there.
I don't know. I'm very early in my lore dump. It's been very specific characters like Melania, things like that, and her relationship to like some of the other ones, and Radagon and Marika, which are like big names you've probably heard of at this point, at least Marika. Radagon's a big part of that too, because they tie into Godfrey and all them. It's very, very deep lore. It could go into an entire podcast on, so I'm not going to do that. Maybe we will. That sounds like a good Coffee Corner podcast. That's what that sounds like. Coffee Corner. Speaking of, good shit on that one. I like that. You like that? I think we're going to go with everyone's suggestion of like Kaiju Carl's Coffee Corner. It seems like a lot, but we may just do Carl's Coffee Corner. But Coffee Corner is that chef's kiss, bro. So we'll see. It's going to be Coffee Corner of something. So
okay. Well, I'll be there too.
Sounds good.
All right. So, I mean, we can do that, but
you know what coffee does? It usually has a lot of caffeine. Right? It makes you go fast.
When you get that hyperness going, it reminds you of like Sonic, and you know how you go supersonic.
It almost makes me feel like Parahero Gandine.
Almost as fast.
Almost as fast. See, we got to keep the transitions good. That's what we do around here. We almost lost it. That was a close one. We almost jumped off the ledge. The ledge boss. Give it to us because we tried. The ledge boss almost hit the second phase.
So we were saying earlier how So Okuno is the main character of this show, and how I was saying, God, about how bad Gio was with the story and everything.
Yep.
If you were to take the idea of Gio and condense it, I think you could get something on the caliber of what Gandine gives on 3 episodes.
Yeah. This is very much a Marvel origin story type of thing.
Oh, yeah. I got that.
It's 3 episodes. The episodes are about 40 minutes, 45 minutes or so. It was solid. I think they could have honestly just cut it into a movie and it would have been the exact same. Probably.
I'm glad that we got to view it consecutive, because as a weekly thing, it does feel rather dependent on the next episode. Because it's a miniseries, obviously that's true. But I mean, if it legitimately the first episode ends immediately where the second episode continues, because it had to, you know what I mean? Like if they had like, they didn't even break a moment. It was like, okay, so this happens like immediately after what you just watched.
Yeah.
So it's like
they just picked a spot to cut kind of thing.
You get the feeling of it's a movie. They just had to do it for the sake of doing it that way.
Listen, Endless Waltz was the same way, to be fair. It started as an OVA, six episodos or so. They cut it into a movie. Bing, bang, boom. Yeah. There we are. So the little blurb about high-speed para-hero Gandine. Okuno portrays a 17-year-old high school student named Moriyama Taishi, whose first name means ambition, with dreams of becoming a wheelchair track and field athlete. Fukai Kyo is a former track and field athlete that now serves as his coach, along with his father, who is the employee of a local factory, and his childhood friend. They are eager to begin training. One day, a handsome alien named Goo arrives on Earth. He claims he escaped a genocide from one of the Earth's twin stars. Following Goo was a giant monster who attacked the protagonist's house. Goo hands the protagonist a special transformation item, which envelops him, turning his entire body with a special wheelchair armor called Gandine, or at least they call him Gandine.
Yes.
GND.
And it takes a while before we get that name. He's kind of just Daishi for most of it. And it kind of helped. So what I want to say first, to encompass the whole thing, is this almost was technically Toku, because this was very much a J drama with elements of the Tokusatsu inserted. to make it Toku.
The Toku stuff kind of took a back seat, I feel like, to the story, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. And I
was expecting a little more of it, honestly, and what we got was cool. I definitely can see how this would not hold up as a full series, though.
You would have to do one. You would need more characters.
Yeah,
but I mean, you would definitely have to figure out why Goo is more important than he leads on to be, because they definitely have a story here that they tell you up front, where you get the basic story, what you just broke down.
Yeah, and
it's all about protecting Goo and Daishi figuring out how to be this superhero. But in terms of like this grand threat, it's a consistent monster that just kind of periodically pops up throughout the 3 episodes.
Yep. And it's one monster that evolves throughout the episodes as well.
Yeah, and I mean, the first thing you see is the monster. As soon as the first episode starts, you get this monster attack, and it's straight up. I thought it was Destroyer. I'm like, holy shit, that's like straight Destroyer.
It's pretty cool. It's like a weird like Gigan kind of Destroyer mix almost. It's very like biometal, which is also a theme throughout this. There's very much like a biological component to all of it, even including Gandine. But yeah, it starts off with essentially we do like chapter 0. We go back to the beginning, go through hit chapter 0 again, and then finish it out, kind of thing. That's how essentially it's broken down. Like we start the fight, like the main fight in the show, see that for a few minutes, and then we cut back to like how he became Gandine and all this kind of stuff. Which is a very interesting way to kind of put it together. It was cool to see like right out the gate. You know, it wasn't like, oh, he's already the hero. What shenanigans are we getting into?
So I'm dropping a picture of the kaiju in the Discord right now. So this is the kaiju. I think it's the final evolution of it, unfortunately. But
yes,
you basically get like it starts off as just like a shelled armor thing with wings. Then it has like more wings. It's subtle changes that just give it like a meaner look. It doesn't do much different than what it does from the beginning. It's just meaner. But anyway, dope design. I really liked it. I legit thought it was Destroyer though.
One of the really cool things, speaking of designs and monsters, one of the really cool things is, yes, as you can see, a lot of this is practical. A lot of this monster was practical, which is very cool. There was a few parts where they had to do CG, but it wasn't like obnoxious. A lot of it was just green screened. They had a couple different models, and the nice part is as well, or I should say a cool part of it is at the end of every episode we got like behind the scenes, which I thought was so cool to see.
I didn't get to watch those though. I didn't watch the behind the scenes stuff.
You didn't watch it? Okay. It was pretty cool. It wasn't a whole lot. We didn't get, full breakdown kind of thing, but we did get to see like there's a point where he does like a flip while he's like rushing at him. You remember that part where he jumps over like a fireball or something?
The for what it's worth, the choreography that they managed to do is shot well, and the effects are dope. I think like what was the company? Marbling Fine Arts?
I don't know. Let me see.
They did a lot of the big G stuff for the Heisei era. So you could see it's crisp. And the short episode span really helped because they were able to focus on when they do the CG stuff, like you said. Mm-hmm. It looks decent. It's not like Toma running up some stairs.
I'm sorry. It was a rainbow. Thank you very much.
My bad.
So yeah, no, it was really cool, and like stuff like that flip in particular. They actually flipped the suit actor in the chair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like he's hung up by like wires, and they actually flip him and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. And then they accentuate it with the CG. That's the kind of stuff I like to see, right?
Yeah.
You accent it with the CG. You don't, you use the VFX to accent it. You don't just CG a giant, terrible looking puppet monster. Because like this thing in particular, this monster, I think we would have very quickly gotten a Rego looking thing if they went full CG.
That's true, but because of that, they don't even. I think because of how they even use the old school, they use the Ultraman film tactics. It's shot Tsuburaya style, like it's very, it comes across very nicely.
Yeah.
But you're right. If any more CG was used beyond improving the fights, it would have been too much. Even his henshin, I got serious Guyver vibes from Gandine's henshin.
Yes,
like organic. Viney, man, it was first it takes forever because you don't really you start off showing him, and this is where the J drama kicks off. So what we were saying is the Toku elements are like so sparse in between that when we get them, they're done so well that they're memorable.
Yeah.
And I guess that helps. Because too much of this Gandine over 40 minutes would have been repetitive, because it's not like that was the focus.
Yeah, it was. I think I wish we explored his abilities a little more. So let's just talk about like his suit and everything for a minute here, since we're talking about that. I love the design. I think this is a very cool looking design, and it's just very different because it's not your typical kind of like, you know, face mask, Kamen Rider ish Sentai helmet looking thing.
Yeah,
it has this like cool flare out. It looks almost like a dragon kind of thing going on, but like really not at all.
Okay. Very alien. It's like
very alien.
I almost got the vibes, like, I don't know. Oh, wow, that's funny that I'm mentioning Mass Effect again. But it's like a Turian head with a little bit more embellishments. So, like, I dig the colors, the blues, the shades of blues kind of offset to the point where the tones look like muscles, even though it's like a vinyl thing. Like, like a vine look. It's a bioorganic suit because it's made of like these vine things. And when you go into like this cut, they have scenes where it's inside the helmet, so to speak. Yeah. And he's always connected to like the tendons.
I loved that. I thought that was so cool. Yeah. They do this thing where like, so when he first henshins, he kind of like fritzes out. It's almost like, I'm assuming because he's the high speed hero, it's kind of like supercharging his brain. They don't really explain it. I think that's kind of what it is. They're like, it's connecting to his neurons and making his brain, you know, shoot off faster. I thought that was a really cool. And he gets this like thing going on.
Yeah, it's your typical spazzing look, like the crank.
But like, and then when it's frozen, you just see it's all like hanging out of his face, but it's also like meshed into his face. And it's a very cool. Do you remember the Star Kid? Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get there. I just couldn't remember the movie. Yeah. Star Kid. Yeah.
Star Kid. It looks like the same thing, minus the weird flapping goop face.
And the reverse talking mouth. Like,
yeah. What do you mean?
Like, man, that movie's so bad.
That movie is so good. I love that movie.
That's what started this Toku thing. Anyway, so he had that Viney thing. So let's so essentially we start off this show. He's training. He's introduced to his new coach by this intermediary Sakamoto. He thinks, and I'll put a picture of Sakamoto up in the Discord. I recognize him. I don't remember from where.
He is from Ultraman. I'm sorry, the weird guy with the glasses. That guy.
Yeah,
who's clearly up to something else.
Sakamoto.
I don't know, but I do know he is. I can give you the breakdown real quick. Where are they? Where's the cast? I just had the thing. Anyway, keep going. Yeah. Glasses man.
Okay. So he's introducing Kei to Daishi. He takes her to one of his races. They watch him race. He doesn't do very well because it's his first attempt at such a high caliber race, but he did it anyway. And so we get immediately that, you know, everybody's kind of like, and it was difficult with this show because I didn't want them to go overboard with the message, and you know, trying to be like, where they, instead of focusing on the disability, they focused on the character, and that is where it saved the show, because it could have easily just been like, oh, you know, it sucks that you didn't win, you know, cheer up, you'll be all right, you know, stuff like that. Instead, what they focus on is, it sucked, but he wanted to try because that's what he wanted to do. And it's okay. He puts on this, and it's a continuous thing where he doesn't want others to feel the disappointment that he already knows is there. So rather than compound it by embodying that disappointment, he stays positive so that it lessens the impact on everybody. But that fucks you up in the head, bro. So,
and his coach has a lot to do with that too. So that is Mika K from Tokyo Gagaga. She plays Kano, and she is very much his like. Literally his coach, because he's trying to be the para athlete. But she also inspires him a lot by, you know, telling him that like, you're not going to know unless you try. And she also learns a little bit because she is not typically a para athlete coach. You know, she was her own standard Olympic athlete. She learns as well that everyone while their abilities may be different, can achieve everything anyone else can. So it was a really cool message, honestly.
Yeah, just as much a show about her learning as him, and it's not that. It's not even that he teaches her the lesson.
No, not at all.
He is absorbing the lesson that she learns via us, because the one thing about this series that works a lot is a weird trope that they use is the fourth wall break, and they do it with her. And it's right out the start of the first episode. You see this action sequence, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, I bet you're wondering how I got here." You know what I mean? Like
essentially a Deadpool thing where like time stops and she's like, "Yeah, this is pretty crazy, isn't it? Well, this is how we got here."
I've always wanted to write something like that, but every time I think of it, I'm like, oh my god, like.
It's just because it makes you think of Ryan Reynolds. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, anyway. So,
but yeah, also a lot of it is, I don't know if you knew this, but the athletes that are competing with, I'm just gonna call him Sogo because he's Sugo. Competing with him are actual para athletes. They're actual like Olympic para athletes, which is kind of sick.
I figured that they used some legit athletes.
And it also was funny because clearly Sogo is not a para athlete, but like they're all ripped as hell, and he's this little scrawny dude. Like, hey guys, I'm here to race too.
Kind of the rider thing is like they're these skinny little kids, and then you see them in the suits. So forgive it. It's the suit.
And they can kind of get away with it because he's just starting to become an athlete, sort of thing. So they kind of get away with it. He hasn't done the full training yet. It was just funny to me that they're like, hey, what's up? And then he's like, hey guys, I'm here too.
I saw, one of the notes here, I saw that it said that he apparently Sogo trained legitimately for months without using his legs. Like, he really wanted to try that, so that I don't know how long. It just said a couple months, but so he actually went full body to try to figure out how the mechanics work.
I dig it.
And bro, the only thing that I can say, if it didn't come through, because not that I can speak on that, but dude is ripped. For being a skinny guy, he has a couple.
He definitely packed on some muscles since
you
Zio.
can tell, like those row sequences and those pushes. He's got these shoulder muscles. Like, wow, how do you do that? How do you get that? But, anyway,
he does have another support system throughout the show. He's got a couple other people helping him out, including his father, who is Shin Asuka from Ultraman Dyna.
Let me talk about my favorite character of this whole fucking thing.
Okay.
Gen is my favorite character because every time he's in a scene, not only does he eat it up, but he always adds a gem to it. You know what I mean? He's never a negative influence on any of the characters. He always, even when you're like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? We'll get there. But even that is coming from a spot of like, yo, legit, this is because I love you. Like, stop.
I would say Gen even has a possibility of fighting Genbu for best dad title. Like, Gen is up there. Gen keeps it together. I mean, it's only 3 episodes, so there's really not. You can't really make that judgment.
It's even for being 3. It's tight. I get it.
Yeah, it's tight because he's up there. He's like, yo, man, it's all good. Just do your thing, bro.
Mind you, who he's played by. So, in case you don't know, Dyna.
Yeah.
As much as a spotted history we have with it, it was dope to see him again.
I'm super excited for Next Generation Dyna.
I was like, hey, I have like a little theory here that we'll get into later. So anyway, so we were talking about basically how the characters' relationships all kind of correlate, and the background characters. He has a childhood friend called Ryo Sano. I'm putting up a picture of her on the Discord. So she's his childhood friend, whose grandma has like something to do with it.
Okay, I thought that was his sister for some reason, but that works.
No, it's a childhood friend. Yeah.
Okay.
So they do a lot here where they manage to give us clues that there's this this underlying story that we're not being told, but you can infer it a lot through her character and her relationship with her grandma. So Gen, speaking of, has a history that he's never told them, which when it comes up again, I really wanted them to drive, but because they didn't, I assumed that even though they only did 3 episodes, they left that there in case to bring it back.
Yeah. And it did feel like this was almost like a pilot pitch to like a series kind of thing. I mean, they set it up if they did continue it, like it's fine as it is. I honestly don't think Sorry, I was just reading something random that said special miniseries that span 3 episodes rather than having 12 or more. I feel like they were probably gunning for that 12 or more, but I don't think they could really hold it for a full like 26 to 50.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, there's not enough there. They would have to like 1, introduce more characters, 2, introduce or really flesh out that orb plot line, because that was not much. Yeah. So I'm putting up a picture of the rest of the cast and the changing device. Yeah. What'd you think of that?
It was cool. It was the mode shifter, I believe it's called. Yeah. So pull it up on the screen here so you guys can see it as well. It was I like simple things like that. It reminded me almost like an Ultraman one, where it was just like a gem, whatever trinket that they just like
very Ultraman. That's what I thought too. Very Ultraman vibe. But so part of the I'm sorry to go back real quick to that underlying subplot thing. Mm-hmm. One of the ones that we see that I appreciate that they don't really, I mean, at least in the version I saw, they didn't give any subtitles for the alien language. No. So there's cutaways where they're interjecting this in this slice of life stuff where you're suddenly in this wonder world where it looks like they're the planet of Endor, and then these people are running through forests and they're being chased and there's lasers going off and you're just like, what? Like, where did this come from? And immediately they cut back to the slice of life stuff, because what happens is one of these guys who are running gets falls onto the ground. Yeah. And the other one escapes in a ship, and put a picture of.
And it was very clearly one of those like, go, I'll hold them off, or leave me behind. It's not worth it kind of thing. Like we have to save whatever. We have to save Earth, because so this planet is called Planet Alert. By the way,
Planet Alert. It's a twin planet of Earth.
It's a planet that revolves a twin star, apparently.
Whatever. I mean,
They said twin of Earth. It was very It was very confusing. The whole
whatever
planet,
it is.
I thought Planet Alert was straight up like a satellite system, and they picked this ship up sort of thing. Like the dad was going into that, because I was very confused on what Planet Alert was. To be honest,
this is a story that's known,
because they keep talking about astronauts. Yeah, like they keep talking about astronauts, and I think the dad was part of. They're trying to make a space rocket, so they're into space and all that kind of stuff. Him and his crew.
Keep dropping stuff here and there, but like, all right. So basically, the themes of this all tie into each other because they do. And when you get this like this new character, who's this alien thing, it's as much shoehorned into the J drama as the Toku stuff, and I think, and it's because of that, it finds a way somehow, because the bromance between these two characters, mind you, so he escapes. We find out. So actually, even though he is a paraplegic, he wasn't always.
No,
something happened to him.
Yeah.
Yes, he was in a car crash a couple years before with his mother, where she died, and he became a paraplegic. Before all that, he wanted to be an astronaut, and still does, even though he wants to do it a different way.
Yeah. He wants to be the first abled person to go into space with a wheelchair, essentially.
So, and immediately you're like, okay, like how's that irrational? You know what I mean? That's not a dream, that's unachievable. And he's like, the first step is to get my body what it needs to be, and racing is the way to do it.
Yep. That's why he wants to be a para-athlete, to get himself into shape and do all these kind of things. At one point he even looks at I've known it as murder ball, but I don't know what the officials.
I thought it was too, but
and they called it rugby. So I don't know. I know it as murder ball. Essentially it's like basketball with para-athlete basketball kind of thing.
I always that's why they mine testosterone, because you got to be fucking gritty to play that shit,
like that's very like up there with rugby, where like you are a different kind of monster altogether.
Man, you gotta wake up with a desire to be punched in the face like every day. And yet at the same time they sit there with a floofy cat, you know what I mean? Like these are the dudes that'll do that.
Yeah, exactly. So Gu is the alien's name who comes to Earth. He is the one who escapes off this Planet Alert, and his buddy is left behind. Right. We find out that there's a whole dynamic on Planet Alert where there's multiple tribes and things like that, and a rival tribe called the Eltrons are the ones taking over. They are trying to capture Gu and his people, it seems. They have destroyed most of the world, and they
heavy Divatox vibes.
Yeah, she's got big Divatox energy, and I'm not sure if they were the last two or if they specifically needed them for this plan that she was trying to do to destroy regular Earth.
Because I think, they get to it towards the end, and it's like a major spoiler. But we're doing spoilers. but we'll get there. But it is a reason why they're going after Goo specifically. And it's because of his whole Gandine thing. But so
that's what I thought it was, but I wasn't super sure because it wasn't very clear because they didn't talk about it that much, like you said.
Yeah, a space butthole opens up and he comes out and he Goku's Daishi, who's coming out of eating lunch or whatever because the space butthole opened up. Yep. So apparently that headbutt that they gave each other was a point of contact where the powers transferred onto Daishi.
Yep.
Sogo.
And that's how he, big air quotes, chooses a warrior.
Right. So that happens, and then we kind of get this time skip where they're like, he's an unconscious beautiful boy on the ground. What happened? Yep. Nothing really happens immediately other than we cut away instantly. We cut away to kind of like this important moral lesson that we learned via K and another para athlete. Where it's not just about even being a para athlete, it's about your physical overall health. Is you shouldn't measure your own progress via anybody else's success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you could aspire to do 250 sit-ups, but if you can only do 200, you shouldn't feel shitty about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's where she learned what I was talking about earlier, the whole, like, everyone is different. You got to learn everyone's different qualities, what they're capable of, that kind of thing, and train accordingly.
Yeah, and I appreciate that coming from who I assume is a legitimate para-athlete
yes.
who was giving that.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was dope. It was a nice little moment in between, even though it did come at a weird moment, but I'm like, okay, I appreciate it.
It was like, let's take a break from the actual story to get this moment in here. But I mean, it didn't feel too shoehorned, though. You know what I mean? Because it was kind of like they were doing their thing, she's doing her thing. Like, she's trying to figure out how to coach him better in this sport that she's not familiar with. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's another thing. Throughout the whole thing, she's trying to figure out how to reach Daishi better.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't understand herself how to really approach it.
Yeah.
It's really good, man. It's cool. Done well because of they took their time with everything.
Yeah. It doesn't feel preachy. It doesn't feel like they had any kind of ulterior motive to try and soapbox anything. They just, it felt like a very real story to be like, hey, this is a thing.
This is all going on at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, we're not just following one guy. This is a slice of life. And
there has to be some Toku here too.
Yeah. Here's your Toku. And here's a guy eating a freaking octopus whole.
Yeah. That octopus was very red. Oh my goodness.
Bodied it. Goo is like, and I don't know if they used any sugar on it, but he's just straight up bodying this octopus. And it was rough to watch, but he's enjoying it because I guess his species likes the flavor of it.
So I know you didn't watch Ultraman Z, but he is actually in Ultraman Z. He's the main antagonist who just kind of is like a body for the actual alien that's like the main antagonist. So
pretty much the same role.
Pretty much, yeah. He kind of just plays another alien that goes like as a language.
Right. They call him Goo because that's what they infer that he says.
He just keeps saying
but okay.
And then the only way he is able to communicate is through this like back cracker wand thing. Yeah, it was like a back scratcher cracker wand, whatever, where he just like holds it up and then the friend can suddenly read what's going on, which was weird. Yeah,
this is where my theory comes in, where I think Gam Gam was a space alien too, because what they said, Gam Gam was 115 years old when she died, so to speak, quoting her. And in this story, they said that whatever this place was, Planet Alert, every 100 years sends an investigator to go exploring. And Gen, my man Gen, felt that something was up with Gam Gam because she spoke in a way that not a lot of people understood. And he managed to understand her. And Seino, Rio, the granddaughter, who is kind of kooky. Bro, she's chanting the same chants that Gam Gam used to chant. And weird shit happens. She's the only one who can understand the pictograms. Why?
And she's using a word called Ryokushi, I believe was the word. Rokushi. And it was a word in particular that was from this alien language because Goo starts saying it when he is interacting with the evil Divatox lady. She hears this word and she goes, whoa, wait a minute. And we've come to find out that Rokushi is this like the whatever plan she's trying to enact that destroys the planets. And it's very like it's a very Dr. Stone plan. So yes, I agree. There's definitely Gam was definitely of the outer spaces. So yeah,
Gam something. So. So the giant kaiju attacks. The giant kaiju attacks. It's like a goblin shark stegosaur thing at this point.
I like it.
Yeah. When we should have mentioned that when Jesus, rest in peace. When Daishi pensions, it burns onto the back of his hands.
Yes.
Some kind of like, I don't even think it's because they just show it. I don't think it's really anything.
I just assumed this is in my head canon because again, it wasn't very clear. There is a lot of things like the Toku stuff in here is not very clear what's going on. No. And I assumed it was trying to protect him and just like weighed the options and fired a laser out the back of his hand.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, okay, that's either gonna be where he henshins from, or it's gonna be like he's just like it's gonna eventually kill him. You know what I mean? That's what I was. But anyway, nothing. Anyway,
it just fires a laser. Like he's holding it kind of with his, the back of his hand to the monster, and it fires a laser out, and it kind of just burns his hand. And doesn't look like anything really. It just looks like a burn.
Yep. So he's fully henshin, and we get this first henshin, and it's so dope, bro. Like the sinewy look, it wraps up around him. Yep. He becomes Gandine.
It is quite literally vines that wrap around him. And keeping with that biological motif, and it forms it. And it's we joked about the Guyver one being this weird like bondage fetishy kind of thing, but this is just straight up like it wraps around him and then makes the suit. And I thought it was very clean, very cool. And like I said, I love the design of the suit. And that just added to it. And it was very simple in the grand scheme of things, honestly. It was a very simple henshin. He just like holds his hands up, flips it, and boop, that's it. Game over. I don't even think he has like a catchphrase. He just turns it, and that's it.
That's it. And so, and all that build up, and then he races towards the kaiju, and then the first episode ends. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what you got.
It literally does the freeze frame mid-punch.
Falcon, nothing.
Yep.
So
that's I should mention at this point he is in a normal wheelchair. He is in his day-to-day wheelchair.
Yes.
Just rocketing Gandine, around with lightning, Sonic style. It's kind of cool.
Gandine in his regular ass chair. Anyway, so cool. You get that. The episode ends, and I don't know who sings the ending theme yet, but I like it.
I dig it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to it.
Both credit scenes are pretty cool. I like that they kind of did the play on the opening where they kind of, it's like all the actors like breaking character and just kind of like laughing or being weird.
It's that kind of stuff that I like the most, though. That's the stuff that I need when I watch a Toku. Like
that's the kind of like end credits that I think almost every Toku should have. Like, give me something like that, because it was basically behind the scenes and then that kind of thing where it's like the characters just being the characters, like themselves, kind of thing.
Just to I'll go off on a Toku tangent. So I know you know how much I love Supernatural, but I think it was the gag reels.
Yep.
Watching those that made me fall in love with the show more, because seeing them be them means more to me than seeing Dean be Dean.
Yep. Because Dean is Dean. We get Dean at this point.
We love Dean, but Jensen is just as awesome. So, but yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I want more of. Like, please do more of that in future Toku, because I love miss.
That's totally fun just to have. Like, I think there should be more like gag reels and behind the scenes in Toku personally. I love that stuff. Whenever like one of the old Godzilla ones pops up, that's clearly like, the old VHS like behind the scenes reel. I love that stuff.
Where his glove falls off on the wall.
Yeah, or like it's just him like with the legs on, like standing there like all sassy, like just waiting for like a coffee or the next scene to start, something like that. I love that stuff.
I agree. Dude.
It's so good. Give me more behind the scenes Toku. Future Blu-ray releases, make it happen, Shout. I knew you're watching.
Humbly requesting in terms of
requesting and do it. So the second episode, is a lot of like the character dump stuff, right? Like that's
all of it. It is all
of it. Yes, I should not most of it. All of it. You get the punch, and then the rest of it is the character dump.
Yeah. So he literally Saitama's the kaiju, like literally the first scene.
Yeah.
It runs away. I think I do like the de-henshin as much as the henshin, because it's like almost where the vines grow, they like die and wither away.
Yeah,
and it's
pretty
like
cool.
Becomes inert. Yeah, that was dope. Kei's getting a coffee with Sakamoto again. They're just bullshitting. Yeah. This is more of the of the Rio doing her weirdo shit, where Gen is just like watching her. She's like skipping classes, and she's just super weird.
Yeah,
but we don't know why, because Gen hasn't told the backstory yet.
Yeah.
So Kei meets Goo for the first time, and she's like, this is after the obligatory bed henshin effort where Daishi's laying against his bed and he's he's trying to awaken the crystal thing and it won't wake up.
Nope.
So he's just trying in his bed. He's like, come on. Anyway, immediately that's where K meets Goo, and they really lean into the whole Bishonen beautiful boy type thing. He has like these weird contacts. It's very distraction when he's on screen because that's like immediately he's uncanny valley to look at.
Same thing in Ultraman Z. That's not even like to this. I think that's just the actor. That's the actor who's
just a pretty boy. He's just a very pretty boy.
Same thing is that like he comes in and like because he's a possessed body, he just kind of does all kinds of like weird like.
It's weird, yeah. He does. He has. If this is the way he looks as a person, he has this uncanny factor that's really weird. Yeah, but
very good for this like alien disguised as human kind of thing.
Yeah, very good to be cast as what he's cast as. But I can't. Yeah. So anyway, I put a note here. The rope training that Daishi does. I think I tried that once and nearly
it's the worst.
I nearly had a cardiac arrest. Right? I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna.
I don't know if anyone has ever tried the weighted ropes where you like flop them around. If anyone has ever tried that, it makes you want to vomit after like 20 seconds.
I couldn't. I was like, nope, this is not how I'm gonna do this. Not doing this. So immediately, I have a note here. I was like, yeah, no, screw that, the ropes thing. And then they have a fan service scene where she's like fixing his distorted body. She's like tweaking him and turning him, and that's where you get the shirtless fan service. And I'm like, I get it. Well, my body's distorted, Miss Fukai.
Yeah, I got a sweet shape too. It's round. And eventually K, like you just get a lot of like a montage for like 10 minutes of him just like trying to train. And so I don't know if we mentioned it, but Gen and his group are making a rocket. They're literally rocket scientists. And so they're messing around.
Working out of a garage.
Yes. Like they're DIY rocket scientists. And they're messing around with Goo's ship, and she mentions the Nebuchadnezzar. I don't know if you caught that from The Matrix. She mentions the Nebuchadnezzar and the USS Enterprise, all this, really dorky, nerdy sci-fi ships. Just out of nowhere.
Strictly there just to be there. It's strictly there just to name drop.
She just name dropped to show how much of a nerd she is what it was. So they start working on a new. I'm here for it. They start working on the new bike for Sogo, and the first thing they equip it with is genius, and that is a flamethrower.
Yeah, because everybody needs a flamethrower.
Everybody needs a flamethrower. So he literally pushes the lever, lights a bookshelf on fire, and that's when Kay comes in because she's trying to find more training things for him and more research material. So she's going to drop it off, and they weren't expecting her to come that early. And she knew he was hiding something because one of the first conversations they had, she was like, hey, good or bad, tell me everything. We're in this together. Let's do this.
Let's not detract from that, because that is something they come back to
repeatedly,
especially in this episode where he doesn't understand the concept that she's like, dude, I'm down. Work with me. You know what I mean?
Ride or die, we're in this together.
And he's just like, but to be fair, this is a situation where you have to feel that out. He couldn't just up and tell her, hey, I ran into a space alien and now I can henshin.
I would do that in a heartbeat. I'd be telling everyone, yo, check this out. Check this out.
I would. We all would. Yeah. But not her.
Just walking like a grocery store, like, yo.
So, this is followed by a scene where you go back to Gam Gam, where you get a little bit more into, she knew something was going on. She was talking to Gen. Gen knows more than he's letting on. Everybody knows something a little bit extra, but not enough because they don't even have the whole puzzle. So the funny thing is she told him about an Orby thingy that just so happened to come into play in case this exact scenario played out again. So who knows what? Anyway, one of the little things about Gen is they periodically have Gam Gam showing up behind him. Like, did you notice that? As
like a weird ghost thing? Yeah.
Every time they mentioned her or talked about her or something about her reference, she would like manifest in like this ghostly thing behind him.
Literally a JoJo stand would show up with Gam Gam.
and Gen would trip because he knows he's seeing her and he's like, I can't be seeing this, but I'm looking right at her. You know what I mean? And he's like, no way. It's dope. It's a little, and they don't play into it. That's the thing about
this. They ignore it. They straight up don't say anything.
The things about that I'm like, oh my god, give me more of that, and they're like, no. So Planet Alert was dope. Like you said, everything was. We get the backstory on Planet Alert where everything was dope until the Fire Nation attack. They ruined everything. They literally shoot people up and burn them. Like it is harsh on this planet. But
they look like Onis, by the way. So we have Divatox, who has this like moon horn thing going on. Looks almost like what's his face from Ronin Warriors. It has got that like half moon horn thing going on, and all of her like putty minions look like Onis. They have like straight up like Hanya masks on almost.
Yeah, there's the Divatox Rita Repulsa combo fusion. I forget her name, but whatever her name is, she's the villainess.
I don't even know if she had a name, honestly.
It's probably.
I'm sure she did, but
it's Ga. Gu, Ga, and Gigi.
Gu, Ga, Gi. Great. So, like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo.
Her. So this is the Divatox ripoff that you were talking about. Yeah. Hold on. I think I have one more picture here.
But yeah, all of her minions are, and they just carry around like AKs. I don't know why, but they do. And
they straight up just murder people. They just murder everybody, and that was it. So anyway, since Daishi was the first person to encounter Gu when he falls out of his spaceship and does the Goku bump, he becomes the default protector. Now Daishi has this condition where he's just like, really? Me? I can't do what everybody else can do without compensation.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Gu says via the thing is anyone can wield my power, and that's dope. I like that they drive that message. It's not about who you are; it's about what you do.
Yep.
Again, proving that he's a G. Levels with Gu about saying that, because during the scene, like everybody's like, yeah, gung ho, let's do it. Gen the whole time is the most adamant, trying to be like, we can do this. Don't stress this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Daishi's got this. Really, he's like, listen, I'm only doing this because I'm trying to protect him. You know what I mean? I get that you're kind of the thing, but I'm trying to keep Daishi from danger. And it's the levity behind that really was like, yo, oh my god, I need this guy to have more roles. Like I need this actor to do more stuff, because when you see those gems come out of him, it's priceless. It adds more than
wild, since the thing is, our biggest issue with Ultraman Dino was him being Ultraman. It was him. Yeah, literally. So it's kind of funny how we kind of come around, I don't know, like 20 years later now.
I'm gonna go with the fact that it was the material, because even Gio, even so, the shonen aspect of his wanting to do better is held back so much by his doubt, and it's leveled. He's not being irrational. He's like, I can't even walk. You know what I mean? Like, are you sure? I'm the guy. So it's really more that he's just worried that he can't measure up, rather than
actually not performing.
Not performing.
It's all mental. It's all a mental game to him. And he's trying to get over that hurdle. And I mean, that's also like an athlete thing in general, right? Like, you're never good enough, and that's kind of what makes the best athletes the best.
The drive. It's about drive.
You know, you could look up anything on like Michael Jordan, the most famous athlete of all time. There's a famous quote of like, "Fuck them kids," because he essentially had like, it's borderline like a mental health issue, where he would be like, I got to make a competition out of everything. I have to be better than this thing. It's wild.
And that's what K helps him to achieve. It's this mentality that even though it's hard, you might not have the use of your legs, but you have a team that will bring forth all of what you lack. And that's the final message of this. Actually, I think that's the last episode's title, is Team. But anyway, so we're still in the secret thing. Where were we? Q manages to say a sentence, actually. And it brings, and it amplifies the Gam Gam idea, because Gam Gam does speak sentences in a weird way that you can then make that this is how she used to talk. So Gu managed to say Daishi will be all right. That nails home with Gen, and that's where from here on out Gen is like, all right, we're good. We see this little cameo of a little baby boy, Hiroki. He's adorable. We must protect him. But Daishi questions the limits of being able to save anyone, and that's where we get that brilliant scene. So do it because it has to be done.
And in the meantime, while he's kind of having his, it's not even an existential crisis. He's just like, am I even like the right person to do this? Are you sure I'm the warrior? Gen and his team are still developing his super badass wheelchair. And this thing, and like you were saying, he has a team to help along the way. This thing is called the Hyper Wheel, and it is literally designed to make up for everything that he's unable to do by himself. Like, it gives him a projectile, it helps him move a little faster. It has rockets on it to help him control himself a little bit easier. It's his Batmobile, and it's sick, and it looks like a rocket because they're, again, rocket scientists. But they also incorporate the tech from Goo's ship, and it's this random thing. I don't know how he got this thing. It's his like back scratcher, but it just like shoots spikes out the side.
He bends it. He turns it into like a wheel, and then they attach it onto it's, I don't know, whatever they do, it's dope because the wheelchair itself then it really brings that piece together. It's like it does have like the Speed Racer bright color vibey thing, but it works because his blue on blue on blue on black is like I don't know. I dig it a lot. Yeah, you were right.
No, it was cool. I like it. It's it's got the flamethrower. It's he literally like speeds over one point, like anime skids, and then just shoots him with a ball of fire. It's a dope little thing. And one of the coolest parts is how he uses it with the Gandine suit itself, because he can, in the Gandine suit, he can use like vines to latch onto things and move himself around, and almost like Spider-Man around a little bit. Not quite to that level, but he can like pull himself around, and at one point he like hoists himself up and like jumps over something, that kind of thing. They're the ones who developed this thing specifically for him to fight monsters, because they know he can do it. And that kind of circles back around to what you were saying.
Once Gen becomes fully like, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do the best we can, that's where they develop this thing for him. Yeah. And it comes just in time because we have this other subplot. It's not really very important again, but it is something that develops the character of Kay, who has this other rival of her own who she was coming to terms with throughout a couple interactions that she had up to this point. And that catharsis where she finally knows that her limits aren't strictly just because of XYZ, you know what I mean? It's just because she didn't make it to be the best athlete, that's fine. She can use that to become the best coach. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's we get the end result of the athletes who don't quite get to their dreams through K. To get personal, my father is a coach. He was a fighter basically up until my age. I'm 35 now. And I knew my father as a fighter up until I was about 10 years old. Yeah. And when he stopped fighting, he transitioned into a coach. Yeah. Now again, the accolades that he got as a fighter are what they are. But he feels more fulfilled as a coach than he ever did as a fighter. Yeah. So it's a transitionary thing for her to go through, and that's what we explore through her interactions with Aya, which is the name of the rival. Yeah. And it's one of those things that they put in here that's just, it's that little J drama that works for me.
It's very cool.
So even though she has that moment and she feels, on top of the world, immediately she gets ganked by the Ultron monster. Yep. So she goes and she runs into them as they're fucking around, and she literally gets caught up and wrapped up by the kaiju. Goo takes a point blank shot by this thing. Yep. And lives.
Yes. So this thing up until this point was kind of just firing like lasers, but all of a sudden it starts to charge like a rock, like almost like a meteor, and then fires it at Sogo, and Goo jumps in front of him. And all of a sudden he grows a horn, literally, like it looks almost like a Mugen horn. And it just starts like swiping and going crazy, almost like Cyclops going nuts, like this laser firing all over the place.
Yeah, like some kind of Gaia blast where like everything it touches bursts into flowers and plants. Like it's like the opposite of destruction. Yeah.
Which was very interesting. Like their plan isn't to destroy the planet, it's to Dr. Stone the planet is what they're trying to do. Turn everyone into these weird like stone overgrown whatevers and bring back the forest or something. Very strange.
It's very Dr. Stone, like you said. But so that's what would happen if his power were to go out of whack, and that's what Diva Tox is trying to do. Yeah. She's trying to get him to do that everywhere. Yeah. So after it takes a shot, she manages to let go of Fukai, and it evolves one more time to sprout those weirdo wings and then flies away.
Yeah, and that's where the Gigan thing came in. It has very like Gigan looking wings. Like they're like fans almost sticking out, like katana fans sticking out the back of it.
Dope, though. It's dope. Like nothing about this kaiju looks bad. Like it doesn't even like every time it evolves, it looks even more dope. Yeah. So it's like there's no setback. But anyway, so Kai, she survives and she's like, explain. Okay. Out with it. What happened? So, and then that's when you realize that this whole time she had no idea. She didn't know that he was Gandine.
Yep.
And they were doing their damnedest to keep it from her. But because the whole time she's suspicious. She's saying something's fishy, but she can't put her finger on it. Yep. And then she finally gets the explanation and it breaks her world. She's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm out. So she literally just like has this breakdown afterward and can't cope with it. I put a Momin. Is that the one character who's like a clown? Momin? I don't know.
Oh, the guy who speaks Tagalog.
The goofy one.
Yeah.
There's a goofy character in here. His name is Momin, I think. Anyway, I wrote a note that he's a clown. I don't know what he did, but anyway.
He just kind of like makes weird faces and like expresses loudly.
He's such a random character, but it's fun to have him in there. But anyway, so she's having this breakdown with Sakamoto where she just can't do it anymore. She's like, I can't do this. Like this is way beyond me. Sakamoto, like even this is one of those. I don't know how you felt about it. I really want to know because he handles this like a G. She straight up tells him it as if you were a person talking to somebody you understand and respect. Mm-hmm. There's aliens and I'm in a fucking life or death situation here. Mm-hmm. I can't do this. He handles it like a G. He's just like, okay.
Well, I think that's because there's more to him.
Yes,
So at the very end, we're going to skip ahead a little bit. So at one point, this character in particular, we see someone who is wearing a blazer of some kind, recording Diva Talks, essentially like just like time warp out of here. Like she gets to the bubble and it disappears, and he's filming it on his phone. And it's clearly blazer sleeves. He's the only one we've seen in a blazer. They don't show the face of whoever's recording. I can only assume it's him. So that makes me think that's why he doesn't really like have a reaction because he's like, duh.
I didn't gather that, but that's cool. That's a good way to think about it.
So I think that's also why he knows the connection of the family to the aliens, about the aliens in general, and Planet Alert. I think he's very much the everyone in Ultraman, since there's very much a lot of Super Riot Ultraman vibes to this. He's very much the one, like, the head of Guts. If it was like Ultraman Z, he's the head of Guts kind of thing. Like, he knows what's up.
When she says, she transforms, he's like, does he do the henshin pose? And he does the Ultraman little thing. Yeah. That was cool. But, all right. So she wants him to be safe, Daishi, as she quits. Mm-hmm. But you can't have both. Like, you know what I mean? If you're quitting, then you have to just walk away. And that's what he tells her. Yep. Like, you can't just not help him and then still demand to be involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
can't have your cake and eat it too.
You're in or you're not. Yeah. Like, that's how it's got to be. Yeah. So.
And it's interesting too, because Sakamoto is this character that, like, I feel like he's the one who straightens out what a normal person would react to in this situation. Whether it's like, she's going from your standard track and field coach to a para-athlete track and field coach, and he's the one who's like, well, what's the difference? There is no difference. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, he's the one who grounding. Yeah, he's the one who's like, you're thinking about things that don't matter, essentially. Like, good you point. Shouldn't be viewing it as something else. It's the same thing. Or like,
you're watching the spider web and not the spider.
Yeah, okay, he's an alien, but at the same time, you're his coach. You need to help him if he's going to be fighting things. And like, okay, it might be dangerous, but like, he's going to be worse off if you don't help him.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing. So it's a very cool little dynamic that he has, and also makes me think he's probably some big bad in the grand scheme of things.
But again, nothing that they ever get to. So I didn't even get that because they don't really allude to it. It's the subtle things that would be so good if he is like. Anyway,
that's what I'm saying. It was blazer sleeves, and he was the only one we saw even with really like long sleeves on, other than the jumpsuits. So
that's a good point. So Rio finally opens up the orb thingy by repeating that Domo Arigato chant that Gam Gam used to chant.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I wrote it and then I deleted it because it was just it sounds like gibberish. But anyway, so the orb is the epitome of plot dump after this. So the green death Gaia beam that was coming out of Goo's head is called the Green Death. So literally, it would wipe everything off the map and turn it into a forest, and we would be petrified.
Yep.
Goo runs away because he manages to finally control that, but because the Divatox is after him, he's just like, no,
I don't want to endanger these people. This, that, and the other.
Yeah. So boom, he's in hiding, and the Kaiju's looking for him too. So it's all just where's Goo? We're looking for Goo.
Yep.
Rio, Goo is very clumsy. He gets knocked out again. And Rio is having a crisis. She doesn't understand that stressing situations stresses you out more.
Yeah.
So just
because she's very flippant. She's a very flippant character and personality where she's like, yeah, whatever. Like, school's closed. Like, school was closed yesterday. Yeah, but I just don't want to go, so it doesn't matter. It's closed. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
It's because of whatever the sub thing is with her probably being an alien. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably that, but they don't play into it enough, so you get this sensation that she's just like an aloof character.
Yeah.
Which comes across kind of rough sometimes. But anyway, and so you have that moment where she's just like freaking out, and he's like, calm down. Yeah. Everything's going to be all right. They have a scene where they come up with the name Gandine. On the bike, they wrote G and D for Goo and Daishi. Yep. So Gandine.
Yep.
Cute.
Because they wanted it to sound more hero-like, not just G and D. Everyone thought it just said G and D with like a little thing next to it, and they were like, no, it's Gandine because they're heroes, and they strike a pose, and they have a cute little moment with the whole team where they're all like,
very bromancy. Yeah, very bromancy. Goo is the whole time just learning how to be humanish and doing that through Daishi, who's shonen everything up.
And I should mention, when they're looking for Goo, they end up in this like forest area. And because the kaiju is also flying over trying to look for him. And when we say kaiju, I don't want anyone to... They should factor in, especially for our audio listeners, like how big this thing is. It's not like full Godzilla size.
Right,
it's like 3 stories tall, maybe. Like it's small enough that like its torso is maybe the size, or like neck to head is probably the size of a person. You know what I mean?
It's like your Dark Souls boss big.
Yeah. It's not huge, so you can still kind of deal with it, but it is much larger than, the people running around. And this thing's flying around, and he quick henshins into Gandine and does this really interesting, like, vine bubble. And he just holds it and he says, everyone shut up. They just kind of hide there. And I was like, that would have been a really useful power when everyone was firing things at you. I'm just saying.
He did one little flower shield quick, and that was it. It was just like one crystalline flower thing, and boom, done.
But they did also mention his thing is not defense. They had a very candid conversation about like, oh, he wants to be able to take more hits and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that was the whole rugby thing.
Yeah. So like he wants to be able to take more hits, and then one of them, it says something like, why should he have to take hits when he can just move fast enough to not be hit at all?
True.
So it was interesting how they're kind of like talking about his abilities, and you're like, Daishi's learning his abilities too, right? Like that's the whole thing. The whole motif to this entire show is learning your abilities and what you're capable of and playing into those strengths. So it was
coming
just
together.
It was another like cool little thing that they worked into the choreography, like with the shield, where he just kind of gets like blown back. He gets his posture broken from the shield, and he's able to get reposted. It's a cool little thing. Yeah.
But okay, so here's where we finally catch up to the beginning, where all the fourth wall breaks to this point have led up to this point.
Yeah.
Where we're finally catching up to, he's fighting the kaiju. Everybody is marshaling to support him. Mm-hmm. This is like the big climax, and my favorite part of the entire fucking thing. The Gen crew is all like, we gotta do something. What are we gonna do? We have this rocket that we've been working on. Why don't we use that?
He literally says, according to the subtitles we watched, we have to fire this thing into its ass.
I love it. Bro, they hit him with a rocket. The countdown goes, he goes, all right, give me a countdown. He goes 10, 9, and then Gen goes 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And so in this fight, we should mention with this rocket, Goo is opening portals to get things and move Gandine around and people around to help with the fight, right? Like Gandine is not just he's zipping around, but he's also zipping in and out of portals and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So he makes a portal above this rocket and teleports it literally into this thing's butt, and it just hits him in the back, and Gandine and the monster go flying apart.
It was awesome. It was perfect. Everything went so well, and they hit it with the rocket. It wasn't enough, but it was everything in that moment. It was so good. And I'm like, I'm done. That was perfect.
And then one of them at some point makes a comment of like, we're civilians. We can't make a missile. And he's like, but we make fireworks.
Yes, it was later. Okay, so later on after that, they're like, what the fuck was that? And they're like, it was fireworks.
Yeah. He was like, sorry, we were testing some fireworks and just some stuff went off, how it is. And he's literally explaining to the cops why they fired a missile. That's what's happening.
So they fire it hits it, the kaiju's like riposted, and Daishi Shadow of the Colossus his way up this kaiju's back onto his forehead and smashes this crystal skull thingy.
Yeah, because he dashes towards it and he tries to do the flip over again, but it catches his wheelchair. And then he's diving through the air. He latches on, and because he kind of has a moment of like, oh god, I lost my wheelchair. This is it.
And it's definitely to break that. You're right.
It flashes into the like, nope, you can still do it no matter what. You got this, that, and the other. And then he grabs on, climbs up the back, and this is where you can really tell the size wise, because he's like the size of its head. And then he just does his like lightning punch. Explodes.
And that was
and that's the end of that.
Yep. It dies. He beats the kaiju. It's like and all these, very, very over very quickly, because then we cut to the Divatox chick. Yep. And this is where you mentioned where he was recording that. I get it, but what happens to her? She bursts into like this little crystal thingy that pops up on her shoulder, and then another butthole opens up around her, and she's sucked into it.
Yep.
And that's it. It takes a chunk of the building, so you're assuming that it's probably not good what happened to her.
I assume it wasn't voluntary.
Yeah, like it's definitely not something she's excited about, but it's like, what happened? So she poofs, and I guess he just recorded that. That's where you get the scene where it's like, dude, those were fireworks, chill. Yeah. Goo is gonna stay because the ship is broken. He can't really get out.
Yeah.
Rio decides to join the Gen crew as like a cook. This is all like after the fact stuff. It's kind of like snowballing. Everything kind of happens quickly, which kind of leads to the sequel bait, which is where I think all these loose ends that they just kind of alluded to end in like the same butthole effect in the cloud, kind of at the edge of the last frame. I don't know if you noticed that, but that's like that was happening there, and it's implied that another ship is coming.
Yeah.
So he had a boy that was stuck up on Planet Alert still, right? That was still captured.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that was him. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a bro moment. Kay has like, everybody's gonna be fine. This is where we're gonna go from now on. It felt very cathartic when the wrap up happened, but it was okay.
Yeah.
Because I think coming away from it, the fact that it was more of a J drama helped me appreciate it rather than just another Toku.
Yeah. It was a solid couple episodes. I mean, like I said, I don't think they would need to work on a lot of things for it to hold for. I mean, 12 would probably be fine because they have enough like loose ends there that they could work into that. Planet Alert stuff. There's enough there that they could get 12 episodes out of it. Much more than that, they would definitely need to either expand characters or this, that, and the other. Between Grandma, Planet Alert, all that kind of stuff, they could definitely make 12 episodes or so.
Yeah. The let alone the fact that, I mean, I would have thought that they would have had more with Daishi asking Goo about what it's like to be in space, because since he wanted to be an astronaut, what I mean, explore that could have been a thing. Maybe fixing the ship so that they can go to Planet Alert to save his people. You know what I mean? Like something. But there's so much there that could be. So I guess it's fine to leave it at that, because the context
that came out, I think 2019 now. Is that what it is? I think. Let me double check, because I know Zio was over, so it might have been
2019, so 2020 maybe. Yeah. I mean, it's not out of a sequel is not out of the.
It was 2021. Okay, so I mean, it's early enough in 2022 they could still announce a season 2. It's not like if it was 2019, I'd probably be like, they're probably not going to do one if it's by now. But I mean, they just announced Tiger and Bunny season 2, and that thing's like 10 years old. So
oh my god,
who knows?
Maybe we should do that.
I'd check it out. I started it and I never finished it. Sorry, it's loud raining now. Yeah. So overall, what are your final takeaways from Parahero Gandine?
Other than I hope that there is a second season to wrap up the loose ends. Despite those loose ends, the story that they told and the direction that this took, the focus on the characters, everything was so done well enough that I didn't miss the Toku that I didn't get.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot coming after everything was done.
Yeah.
That's what I reflected on the most. Like, wow, I got maybe 4 or 5 scenes of Toku, but I'm okay.
Yeah. It was solid. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, 3 episodes of just like Toku for 45 minutes probably would have been like, okay, but why?
Yeah, that's what
like,
you get, like,
who are these people? What's happening? Why do we even care? And I mean, I'm fine with it. If it's gonna be 3 episodes, you're gonna be 45 minutes. That's cool with me, as long as you make the choreography good. You know, I'm down for that. But yeah, it was a nice kind of mix up from the like, let's just get some suits and start pumping at each other and just smashing faces. Like that's cool. I enjoyed it. There was definitely parts that were a little slow for me. There was definitely parts that were kind of like, I'm a little bored, but it wasn't It wasn't intolerable. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I necessarily watch it again, but I would absolutely watch a season 2.
Absolutely.
That's kind of how I felt about it. And the Gandine suit is fantastic looking. I want to just see more of that suit, honestly, even if it doesn't have its own show. Like, just give me more of the suit.
Imagine an upgrade. You know what I mean? Like an upgrade to that, I would put more. It would be more Guyver, but you know that's just me. But I would definitely.
Well, I mean, imagine if he got like a Gandine actual wheelchair, like instead of the rocket built one, which I know that was the. Yeah,
it would be the tumbler. Imagine him coming out the top of a fucking tumbler, bro. Like,
just a full-on tank with his head popping out the top.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. It's solid. Go check it out. It's Hyperspeed Parahero Gandine. Chosuka Gandine, if you will. Chosuka Parahero Gandine. Let's get to some news.
Definite recommendation.
So news is a little weird this week because we had April Fools. So
you believe nothing for 48 hours because even on April 2nd, it's everybody who still believes the shit from April 1st.
So stuff just left and right. But the one real thing we did get was an official reveal of Ultraman Decker, which is kind of fitting since Ultraman Dyna was in this. This is Next Generation Dyna. And the suit looks sick. The suit looks really cool.
If they're changing the designs in terms of I guess, I don't even know what's vastly different. It just looks like the chest is different, right? Like,
like the helmet is kind of the same, but it didn't have the kind of like gem thing going on in the middle. Like it had the gem, but it didn't have the gem behind it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's cool looking. I dig the suit. It's not the one that I thought it was going to be. That other Ultraman Galaxy fight, the Beast Star, whatever. Yeah. It's not that suit, but I don't mind it. One thing I will say I don't like about Ultraman is revealing pretty much all the suits right out the gate.
I mean, don't they have like 3 or 4 power-ups in between?
So typically, from the ones I've seen anyway, it's you get the 3 base forms and then you usually get their final form. That's essentially, some of them have more in between, like Taro's kid, I forget, Taiga, he had a couple extra ones. He had like 6 or 7. Like Orb and them, the combo dudes, they usually have a few more. Like Jeet, I think, only had 3 or 4. But when we get all 3 of the base forms right out the gate, and then it worries me sometimes because I feel like Trigger didn't get any new ones. Like he just got his multi-form, Sky form, and then Strength form. I forget what it's called.
Right.
We're getting a similar thing here where we get Flash type, which is his basic one, is your multi-form. You get Strong type, which is your red one. It's always the big beefy muscular one.
It's always it's always one of the 2. So
and then we get Miracle type, which is the blue fast one, the caster, if you will.
Usually. So since it is the Dino homage, it makes sense that it's those same 2 ideas redone, right? So do we know anything plot wise yet?
Let me see what we got here.
Decker
is set several years after the ending of Ultraman Trigger. With the threat of Eternity Core past, a new threat looms over Earth. A swarm of floating objects from space called Sphere have begun attacking the planet. And this is the sequel to... It's also a sequel to Dyna, similar to Trigger was to Tiga. So Tiga and Dyna were actual sequels back in the day. They were kind of like, just actual sequels.
So they're treating this as the sequel to Trigger,
yes.
as was the. Oh, yes. That's kind of cool. Okay, so that's clever.
You had there was 3 back then. It was Dyna, Trigger, Dyna, Tiga, and I forget what the third one was. Gaia, I think, was the third one. So those 3 were like the 3, right? Like they were 1, 2, 3. They were sequels to each other. So I think the next one we're going to get is Next Generation Gaia, if that's the one that is. But they also revealed the changing device, which is kind of just Ultraman. What's his name? I just said it. Decker. Ultraman Decker's face. That just shoots up the little crystal thing, like always. And
is that what that is? I thought it was a Digivice, dude. Holy
it's
crap.
Essentially a Digivice, yeah. But it looks like you insert the cards, and the little thing pops up, and that's how he gets his forms. So
it literally looks like the Digidestin thing. The armor for what was the one?
A Digi-Egg?
Flame-Dramon? Is it Flame-Dramon?
Flame-Dramon used the Digi-Eggs.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
It looks like a Digi-Egg? Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, but yeah, it looks like there's going to be some incorporation of cards. I don't know if they're necessarily, for the... I'm trying to like read it quickly while I'm talking. I don't know if it's necessarily for the device itself, if that's kind of like the coins that he inserts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's going to be cards. So I am down for that.
So it's not fusion, right?
I don't believe so.
Please no.
No, because Trigger wasn't either. Trigger just used multi-type, and they were like USB-C plugged into the gun and switch forms.
All right, so I just put up the Digi-Egg and the Digi-Egg changer. So there you go. That's absolutely a Digi-Egg.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's definitely the Digi-Egg, and then the actual changer itself.
The Digi-Egg changer. Yeah.
So
all right,
I'm going to assume the extra guys, like we see Zero, that's Zet, and Belial here. I'm going to assume they're going to give him attacks. So
okay, yeah, not just weapons, more like
attacks, yeah. Because that was kind of how Trigger worked too. Like he would put other ones in, but it was really just attacks. Same thing with Zet. He had all the coins that were like other Ultramen, but not all of them gave him a form. Like one of them was just a big like power slash sort of deal, riser sword.
Dig it.
Yeah. So that's Ultraman Decker. What else we got for the news? Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a shot. I've given all of them a shot so far. Trigger's fine. Yeah. It is what it is.
I mean, yeah, we're always down to try. I mean, here, I saw these. While you look up the next piece, I saw this come up where I think our Dawn Avataros are getting some kind of upgrades.
Okay. Yeah, other than that, they fake announced a new Genem project.
Yeah, see, that's that shit. Don't trust it. I saw the Gen. It was supposed to be what? He's now a robot. He was
he was a humanoid or human gear.
Human gear.
Yeah, he's human gear.
How scary that would be.
It'd be terrifying. But yeah, it is not true, unfortunately. No. And then Ren was supposed to come back as well. The other what's his face? The guy who did Peepy Poppy Popey, like he took her over kind of thing.
Oh, Poppy People Popple. Yeah.
Not her, but like the other guy, the dating sim dude. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Ren, he was supposed to be in it as well. It is totally fake. That was an April Fool's thing.
Do not believe anything, man.
No.
I can't.
So yeah,
I don't even know if I can trust these toys then, because I found these toys. I think what was it, the day before?
Oh, these are almost like super samurai looking things. So yeah, just before I pull it up, I just got to say, this is it looks like some new scans for the whatchamacallit, Avataro Sentai.
Avatar
Don
Sentai.
Brothers, there we go. Holy, couldn't even think of the name.
So if these are legit, yes.
They may be spoilers, just FYI, I'm going to pull them up on the screen.
Yes. They get you have the gears on the bottom. I guess gold is kind of a thing. I don't know. But I don't know how I feel about this look. I'm assuming this is just like
this looks form. Almost like the robot that Don Momotaro has, except everyone's getting one almost.
Yeah, everyone has like their own version. I mean, Saru brother looks more like a gorilla.
Yeah.
He gets like these stocky arms.
Yeah. They're kind of like hyper versions of.
Look, battle risers.
Yeah, they look like the Super Samurai armor. Like when they go into the Megazord, they would get that crazy like it wasn't the Shogun armor, but it was like the Super Samurai, whatever they called it. Yeah, it looks almost like that. I don't hate it.
Oni sister gets these angry pauldrons, and that just looks like
a club. But she gets her Oni club.
So these will be dope.
Is there one for Kiji and Inu brother?
These are the only ones I found.
Okay.
So maybe these are just what they released so far.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GG brother.
Yep. Mill Creek is releasing Ultraman Mebius as well. That was announced a little while ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was trying to check out Mebius a while back. I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's all I got. So, yeah. I don't know.
Other than that, not a whole lot else happened. Ultraman, Jesus. Kamen Rider Veil's first episode did come out. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Should we wait till all of them come out before we
I kind of wanted to wait till all of them, just because I don't really want to watch one episode every month or so.
I'm gonna Jones. It's gonna be bad. I'm gonna Jones bad. So yeah, all right.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
So, yeah. That is. I'm just trying to make sure one more time there wasn't actually real news. The rest of it is from TokuNet. It is a bunch of TacoNet that they did for April Fools, where they rebranded as Taco and like Octopus. So yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, it was fun. Fun times to be had. That's April Fools for you. It is what it is. I got April Fools. Did you see what Effing Cool did? They did this. I was not part of this, by the way. So they fake announced a Master Rider figure.
What?
Yeah, the Black RX, like Master Rider. They fake announced it. So they had someone put together like the real background and everything, and they put together one of the figurized figures, like the models. And this was Mike and Chris's brainchild. I take no credit for this whatsoever.
Oh man, that hurts. That hurts me.
So they made a fake Lightning Collection Master Rider. That was the effing cool.
Wow! I feel that.
Right?
Ouch.
That can't. Not even an hour after I put up of like, I don't like April Fools because fake things that bring my heart joy are always announced.
That hurt. I didn't even, it's not even real, and I felt like it was taken away from me.
Oh my goodness. Let me pull it up real quick. It is, oh man, it was so mean.
That sucks.
Like they did it. It was too legit. I was like, oh, you guys are mean.
I can't trust that. I can't. 48 hours, man. April Fool's Day went from 24 to 48 because these people are still wicked. Oh man.
So here is your fake Lightning Collection Master Rider. It is wild how good this picture is.
Holy crap, dude.
Oh man.
Who's not gonna want that?
I know. Look. It's so mean. And they did a fake interview with Mark Kidding. Oh, it's so mean. So mean.
That's perfect. Yep. Interface activate. You guys are assholes. I love it.
Man.
Okay. Well, that was awesome, and it sucked at the same time. Because damn.
I had no part of that. I'm just saying. I was not the brainchild behind that.
That's fine because it was damn good.
They even put up.
Dude, you don't know how bad you want something. They
even put a picture with the accessories. I don't know if anyone else saw this. They put a picture up with the accessories. It has the hands and the explosion and his alternate face. It's so mean.
It's everything. It's everything you would want, dude. Oh man, they even got his like in this, dude. Like it's pretty damn close.
It's funny to me.
Oh, it's so
oh goodness. I love it. I love those guys.
Guys, well done. Well played.
Slow clap. Good job. Yep.
So I think that's the episode today. Can't top that because that's gonna stink for a bit. I need to go shower.
Yeah. So that is pretty much the news because everything else is fake April Fool's news. There was one other thing, but I forget what it was, and I don't think it was that important because I forgot. So, yeah.
That's just it.
That is pretty much it for this week. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. This has been Tokudon. If you want to check out more of my stuff and you're watching live, you know where to find me, twitch.tv/KaijuCarl. You can also find me at KaijuCarl on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. I was talking about starting some new podcasts and things. Just follow me on Twitter. You'll see some updates there. And if you follow the channel, you'll probably see it go live at some point too. So just keep an eye out for that stuff. We'll be working that out. And then we're usually here Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for our usual streams. This week, we're going to fight Millennia, and then we're going to check out some more fighting games on Friday. So, yeah, we'll figure it out.
All right. And you can catch me at sixechoes@gmail.com. Hit me up with all of your spooky stories. Hit me up on all the socials. I actually got a dope story yesterday. I was recording that shit. Oof. If you guys like ghosts, this one is like a combo of like a ghost and like a dog ghost. You ever hear something like that? I never thought it was a thing.
Ghost? I mean, I've seen plenty in Elden Ring.
Like, I never thought I could be spooked out by a dog ghost, but Cujo is an example of this dog ghost. Anyway, so stuff like that I'm into. So send me your stuff, send me your stories. I'm down to record them, send them back out to you.
Nice.
6echoes.se@gmail.com.
Deuces, yo. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Appreciate you.